said, well, you know, you've never been in a gas chamber before. Happy Veterans Day. Marines, sailors, soldiers, airmen, and to all of those who have served, I thank you for your past service to this country and the service you provide for us today as examples to the young men and women of this great country. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in 1983 in the city of Fresno, California. My mother had just returned home to her parents after running away to meet my father. He was Haida Native and known as a big troublemaker. These were the things that made my mother's family very unhappy, and continued to do so with her decision to marry him. As I grew older, my father always was away, and my mother was always running. You see, I had two younger siblings, and early on, I felt I had a natural-born duty to help and protect them in this crazy life that we lived in. Well, my father always did one of two things. He was either always running from the authorities or sitting in jail. Eventually, he ended up in prison. My mother was also a woman of two minds. She was either always cooking or yelling, but unfortunately, not working. Because of this and my mother's nature, before I reached my senior year of high school, we had moved 22 times and I had gone to 14 different schools between Fresno, California and Bellingham, Washington. Two of those places, the 22 places, were women's shelters. Growing up, I was never allowed to do anything extracurricular. From the age of 12, I was either knocking door to door for work, working a job, or carrying groceries from the store that, depending on where we lived, could be as far as 4 miles away. We never rode a car as well. At age 16, I moved out. I was tired of not being able to go to school and only work. I had ambitions and dreams, and this wasn't the path to them. Well, being that I was so far behind in school, I went to a private school that let me work full-time while coming in once a month to turn in work. Not a very sustainable way to live. At age 17, fortunately, my grandparents brought me in, and I lived with them. They were the first real support I ever had. My grandfather wasn't my father's father. He had married my grandmother later in life, but to me, he was just my grandfather. The one thing that stuck with me about him to this day is that he had served in the U.S. Army for 3 years in an intelligence position in Germany during the Vietnam War. And that even though it was a short 3 years, he was so proud of his service. And he let it define him for most of his life. He died 3 years ago in 2015. So looking for my own purpose, and wanting to have the same pride my grandfather had always shown. On July 9th, 2001, I joined the toughest group of men and women in the world. To begin what I now know was my first step into a new life, the beginning of a life as a lifelong learner. I became a U.S. Marine. During my time in the Marines, I participated in the invasion of Iraq, living in holes, not showering for close to 90 days, and continually pushing towards Baghdad. In my second deployment, I helped search vehicles for explosives in and around southern Baghdad. I was honorably discharged from the United States Marine Corps on July 9th, 2005. I spent 6 months in college, and then I was recalled. Not wanting to have the same job, being an infantryman, I decided I would join the Army for my extended time. I joined the Army and signed on to be a human intelligence collector and Arabic linguist. I spent 2 years at the Defense Language Institute of Monterey, California, where immediately upon my graduation, I received orders to return to Iraq for another year. I joined the Washington National Guard unit in a deployment outside Mosul, Iraq, where I completed over 200 missions and worked as a machine gunner, translator, interrogator, and personal security detail leader for our lieutenant colonel. These are the things I want to talk to you about today. Well, really 3. 1, education. It's why we're all here, right? 2, service. It's why we are all here. Veterans and teachers, right? And 3, respect. Or more, how to show respect for those who have earned it. Here's a quote. Education, then, beyond all other devices of human origin, is a great equalizer of the conditions of men. The balance wheel of the social machinery, Horace Mann. The super simple Marine version of this is, work hard at learning things. There are all types of education, be it formal or informal. Broadening your knowledge pays dividends in the possibilities of what paths are available to you in your life. Or you only get what you put into things. Not everyone starts in the same place, and unfortunately for some, extra blood, sweat, and tears, and time are needed to bring them up to a place we would call equal. The military is also a great equalizer, a place where all people are brought down to an equal playing field, no matter their race, no matter their culture, no matter their religion, and yes, also, no matter their country of origin. We are all green, and we all bleed the same blood. I served many men and women from different backgrounds, cultures, and religions. Their differences made us stronger, a stronger fighting force. My first roommate was a young skinny kid from the Dominican Republic. By the time I met him, he was a lance corporal and was quickly moving up the rank structure. He had served multiple tours into Iraq, well, as of today, he has served multiple tours in combat, been a drill instructor, a senior drill instructor, a master sergeant, and is currently a chief warrant officer in the United States Marine Corps. I've never seen him so happy as the first day he became a U.S. citizen. He had already finished his first deployment and was the first group naturalized under laws passed promising the naturalization of those who had joined the military or were in the military on or after 9/11. He got to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger as well. He was the governor at the time. Second soldier I want to talk about, Espinosa Galvin, a first-generation gay Mexican-American whose family had crossed undocumented in the United States when she was a child, or before she was born. She was born in the U.S. She served as a medic in Iraq in 2008-2009, where she served in a combat position. She treated, and in some cases, unfortunately, lost people that had terrible gunshot wounds. She currently serves as a tech sergeant in the Air National Guard, having transferred from the Army, and is now an activist for equal rights for the LGBTQ persons in the military. Staff Sergeant Blaine Jones, my favorite. This guy was one of the toughest Marines you'd ever want to meet. He's one of those guys who, because of all the yelling he's done over the years, his voice was permanently like this. And to this day, his voice is like this. You think he's angry, he could be telling you like the most happy thing in the world, and you would think he's mad at you for it. So, Staff Sergeant Jones, he had bad knees. He was a skinny, short kid from Indiana. The Marine Corps had already disqualified him twice for service, saying he could never run properly to be in the Corps. Finally, after meeting some doctors who could pull a few strings, he got into the Marines. He first got selected for embassy duty, where he spent 5 years defending embassies around the world. And this was due to his impeccable attention to detail. Next, he was a platoon sergeant for my unit during the invasion of Iraq, and my second deployment as well, where he was in combat multiple times. He then became the first Marine to be promoted meritoriously to Staff Sergeant with less than 2 years as a sergeant. He became a spotter for mortars, and today he is the first ever Marine to be the senior enlisted advisor at Central Command as a Master Gunnery Sergeant. Oh, and to this day, he still runs under a 6-minute mile. The things I did, and these people have done, and all of us have done, are springboards for what we do later in our life. They define who we are and who we become. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Marine University, boot camp. Some of us don't want to remember that. You can think of it like this grand place of learning. You can imagine a great robed figure telling someone trying to enter this grand fraternity, only the truly worthy shall pass. Well, there is a figure. They aren't wearing robes, but they do wear a wide brim hat, and instead of generic warnings, they're asking questions like, well, they're actually yelling questions like, why did you ever decide to be born in the first place? Or, if I drop you on your head again, will it actually fix the damage? Drill instructors are funny guys. They torture you, they stress you out to the absolute max, and constantly change everything. This is the best kind of education, right? This intense stress is a type of education. Anyone who has ever had to do rifle manual with a mattress, or your linen is filling full of water in the shower while singing the Star-Spangled Banner while keeping a straight face might be ready for the chaos of combat. Well, time went on when I was in boot camp, and towards the end of the second month, most recruits were getting anxious about graduation and kept arguing about the probabilities kept arguing about the probabilities of getting stationed in Honolulu. Everyone wanted to go to Honolulu. We were in field week firing our rifles like we always do, because that's what Marines do, they fire rifles. And our chaplain comes out with our senior drill instructor to come talk to us. You see, this day was September 11th, 2001. At first we thought our DIs were just messing with us, trying to make us think we're going to be going off to war. In the Marines, you have complete communication blackout while you're in boot camp, so it's really hard to get any information to know what's true and what's not, even when the world is changing. So, but after we noticed the airport outside of the recruit depot in San Diego was empty, and that they had put a small APC in front of the gates leading out into town in San Diego, we kind of started to believe them. From that point, boot camp seemed a lot different. You see, it was at that point we realized, or some of us for the first time, that we were the response, that our oath meant more now than ever, that we had been transforming ourselves from individuals with different motivations, ambitions, and different goals to a group with a common purpose, a group with ancient traditions, a rich history, and a moral obligation that have been passed down for generations, beginning with the battles of Lexington and Concord, through wars fought around the world and those fought with the world. We had a duty, we had our call to serve. Service. I'll say a few things about service. Mahatma Gandhi once said, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." As a teenager, I often wondered what I would do with my life to make the most money. After my service in the military, I wonder, and I still wonder, what I can do to impact the other people the most. Being part of something greater than oneself, going beyond the self-serving motivations, helps define the true value of a human being. At one point, these and all veterans sacrificed their time, their family, their well-being, and in some cases, their lives, for following a solemn vow to serve a greater calling. This is why we call them heroes. How do we thank them? We thank them by remembering what they've done and by trying to lead lives that honor their sacrifice. Here's a final quote, military or not. We the people recognize that we have the responsibilities as well as rights, that our destinies are bound together, that a freedom which only asks what's in it for me, a freedom without a commitment to others, a freedom without love or charity, or duty or patriotism is unworthy of our founding ideals and those who died in their defense. President Obama. Now to the rest of you, go out, learn, see the world and make a difference in it. Be thankful for what you have and respectful to those who have sacrificed to make it happen. Be cautious and protect. Be cautious of those who would threaten the life, liberty, and happiness of your fellow man. And protect what we stand for, either through military service like those in front of you, or civil service like myself and those around us, or through simple acts like helping your fellow human being, your community, or your neighbor. Thank you, veterans. Thank you, Jamaican High School, and bless the United States of America.